Have you ever felt trapped in your thoughts, constantly replaying the past or worrying about the future? What if I told you that the key to liberation, peace, and clarity lies not in changing the world around you, but in mastering the present moment? Eckhart Tolle, in his groundbreaking work The Power of Now, teaches us that most human suffering originates from identification with the mind and its relentless narratives. From the very first second, we are conditioned to live in time, measuring life by events that have passed or anxieties that might come. But what if everything we truly need already exists in this very moment, waiting for our attention? Tolle emphasizes that the mind is a powerful tool, yet it is often misused. It is like a radio playing on a channel we didn't choose, filling our consciousness with endless commentary, judgment, and analysis. The mind obsesses over what happened yesterday, fears what may happen tomorrow, and in doing so, robs us of the richness of now. Imagine walking through life with a fogged lens, constantly distracted, never fully present for the beauty, the clarity, and the connections around you. This is the human condition, and yet, liberation is possible. The first principle Tolle introduces is awareness. Awareness is not thinking about being present. It is the simple, direct recognition of this moment, right here, right now. It is the difference between noticing your breath and analyzing why you are anxious. Awareness shifts you from identification with thought to observation of thought. When you watch your mind without judgment, you begin to see that you are not your mind. You are the consciousness observing it. This subtle shift is revolutionary. It does not remove life's challenges, but it transforms your relationship to them. Tolle explains that suffering arises from resistance. Resistance is the refusal to accept what is, the insistence that reality should conform to our desires. We resist pain, discomfort, boredom, or uncertainty, and this resistance amplifies suffering. Yet when we learn to accept the present moment fully, without mental commentary, we dissolve resistance. Acceptance does not mean complacency or passivity. It means acknowledging reality as it is, and only then can conscious action emerge. In this space, you are no longer reactive, no longer caught in cycles of fear or regret. Another critical teaching is the distinction between clock time and psychological time. Clock time serves a practical purpose: scheduling, planning, and deadlines. Psychological time, however, is the endless loop of mental projection into the past and the future, constantly triggering anxiety or longing. Tolle asserts that freedom comes when we stop over-identifying with psychological time. We can plan without becoming consumed by what's next or what was. Life unfolds more gracefully when the present moment is our anchor. Emotions also play a crucial role. Often, we believe emotions are reactions to external events, but Tolle reveals that they are intensified by thought. Anxiety is not only about danger. It is fueled by the mind's projections and interpretations. Anger is not just about others. It grows from clinging to expectations. By observing emotions as they arise, without judgment or resistance, we allow them to pass naturally. The present moment becomes a container for emotions, and the intensity of suffering diminishes. Tolle uses the metaphor of the pain body, the accumulation of past emotional pain residing in our energy field. The pain body feeds on identification with thought and past wounds, triggering repetitive emotional patterns. By practicing presence, we can interrupt the pain body's influence. Instead of reacting automatically, we witness its activation, breathe through it, and consciously choose our response. This is not suppression, it is mastery. It is reclaiming power from unconscious patterns and returning to the simplicity of now. Relationships, too, transform under the lens of presence. Conflicts often arise from projections, unmet expectations, or unresolved emotional patterns. When both parties cultivate awareness, they engage without the distortion of past grievances or imagined futures. Communication becomes clearer, empathy deepens, and connection becomes authentic. Presence allows for listening, understanding, and responding from a space of clarity rather than habitual reaction. Tolle stresses that true change does not occur through effort alone. Effort without awareness is just another form of doing, another mental struggle. Transformation happens when presence meets action, when we act from a state of clarity and conscious choice. This principle applies to personal growth, creativity, work, and even spiritual practice. Life becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about participating consciously in the flow of existence. Mindfulness, meditation, and conscious breathing are practical tools that anchor us in the now. They remind us that we are not our thoughts or emotions. We are the awareness in which they arise. Even a few moments of conscious presence each day can interrupt habitual mind patterns and reduce unnecessary suffering. Over time, presence becomes a natural state, shaping perception, decision-making, and experience itself. Perhaps the most profound insight is that the present moment is the only reality. The past exists as memory, the future as imagination, but only now is real. Tolle invites us to fully inhabit this reality, not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. By doing so, we discover that peace, clarity, and joy are not distant goals, but immediate experiences accessible in each breath. We no longer chase happiness or fulfillment. We recognize that they arise spontaneously when the mind stops resisting what is. In essence, the power of now works because it teaches us to shift from identification with thought to identification with presence. It shows us that liberation is not external, it is internal. By observing the mind, accepting reality, and anchoring in now, we reclaim our true nature, reduce suffering, and live with authenticity. This teaching is simple yet profound, practical yet transformative, and it addresses the deepest challenges of human consciousness. Now, consider the way time dominates most of our lives. We often postpone happiness, waiting for milestones, promotions, or relationships, thinking we'll finally be content when certain conditions are met. Tolle challenges this by showing that all fulfillment exists in the present. Waiting for the future is a mental trap that delays joy indefinitely. When we anchor ourselves in now, we discover that contentment is not something to chase. It is something to recognize. It emerges naturally when resistance falls away. One of the most striking aspects of Tolle's teaching is the sense of lightness and freedom it brings. When you stop identifying with thought, you are no longer enslaved by mental drama. Anxiety loses its grip and regret diminishes. Life feels more spacious, even amid challenges. You begin to notice subtleties, the warmth of sunlight, the rhythm of your breath, the gentle flow of conversation that were previously drowned out by mental noise. Each moment becomes rich with meaning because you are fully present to perceive it. Tolle also addresses the ego, which he describes as a false sense of self rooted in thought and memory. The ego constantly seeks validation, comparison, and superiority, perpetuating conflict and suffering. Presence, however, dissolves the ego's grip. When you are anchored in now, the need for external validation fades. You realize that your value is inherent, that the true self is beyond judgment or competition. This understanding reduces anxiety, envy, and attachment, and it creates a deeper sense of inner peace. Another practical dimension is the integration of presence into daily activities. Tolle emphasizes that presence is not limited to meditation or quiet reflection. It can be practiced while walking, eating, working, or interacting with others. Every moment becomes an opportunity to reconnect with the essence of now. Washing dishes, answering emails, or commuting can become acts of mindfulness, small gateways to awareness. Over time, this cultivates a life where every action carries intentionality and clarity. Tolle's insights also resonate in creative and intellectual pursuits. Artists, writers, and thinkers often report that their most inspired work emerges not from forcing ideas, but from surrendering to the present, allowing inspiration to flow naturally. The mind, when it is not cluttered with expectation or judgment, becomes a channel rather than a prison. Creativity blossoms because presence provides the clarity and spaciousness for insight to arise. Spiritual awakening, according to Tolle, is not about accumulating knowledge or achieving special states. It is the simple realization that you are already complete in this moment. It is the recognition that your consciousness, your awareness, is untouched by circumstance. This realization can occur in an instant, yet it deepens gradually as presence is practiced. The paradox is that enlightenment is both immediate and unfolding. It is not somewhere else. It is here, always accessible. Relationships, too, benefit profoundly from this shift. When both partners cultivate presence, communication becomes deeper, misunderstandings diminish, and connection flourishes. We stop projecting the past or imagining the future onto others, and instead, we meet them in the reality of now. This allows empathy, understanding, and genuine intimacy to emerge. Conflicts are no longer battles. They become opportunities for conscious interaction and mutual growth. Tolle also highlights the role of surrender, which is different from giving up. Surrender is acceptance of what is without mental resistance. It does not mean inaction. It means acting from clarity rather than compulsion. When you surrender to the present moment, action becomes aligned with reality. Decisions are wiser, and energy is conserved. The tension and struggle that arise from mental resistance dissolve, leaving a sense of flow and ease. An essential practice is conscious breathing. By focusing on your breath, you create a direct connection to the present. The breath is always here, always available, a constant anchor that bypasses thought and grounds you in now. Even brief moments of conscious breathing interrupt mental loops and restore clarity. Over time, this cultivates a natural presence that extends to all aspects of life, reducing stress, enhancing perception, and fostering inner calm. The power of silence is another critical insight. Silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of awareness. By observing thought without commentary, by allowing space between mental impulses, we experience the richness of consciousness itself. Silence nurtures creativity, enhances intuition, and deepens our connection to ourselves and the world. It becomes a sanctuary, a place to recharge and realign with the truth of now. Ultimately, the power of now works because it reconnects us with what is always available but often overlooked: consciousness itself. Freedom, peace, joy, and clarity are not distant goals or future rewards. They are present in every moment when we stop resisting and start observing. Life does not need to be fixed or changed externally to be meaningful. The key lies in changing our relationship with the mind and anchoring in awareness. So, ask yourself, how often are you truly present? How often do you allow the mind to pull you into the past or the future? What might change if you anchored yourself in this moment, fully experiencing life as it is? Share your reflections in the comments below, and let's explore together how this simple yet profound practice of presence can transform our experience. Remember, the journey is ongoing. Presence is a skill that deepens with practice, patience, and conscious attention. Start small, notice your thoughts, observe your emotions, anchor in your breath, and slowly, the power of now becomes a living reality. Life becomes lighter, richer, and more meaningful. You discover that fulfillment is not a destination but a moment-to-moment experience. You reclaim your mind, your energy, and your peace. If this exploration of Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now has sparked new insights or challenged your habitual thinking, take a moment to reflect, experiment with presence, and notice the changes in your awareness. Like this video if it resonated, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into philosophy, consciousness, and the hidden forces shaping our inner and outer worlds.